figured I'd give a talk about the recent passing of the executive action in the United States, where fucking A, you're not gonna let me in, are you, motherfucking bitch? I hate that. I want to go up there and slap that guy. Basically, Obama passed this executive order, which basically states that under a guise of national security, which can mean anything, we can come in now and take your farm, your food, and everything else. Now, the reason why they passed this is because of Katrina. And when Katrina happened, they realized logistically they didn't have what was needed, right? And ultimately, they want to be able to feed the army, or, you know, if there was some sort of major event and they need food, they want to be able to just take it. So, you know, the idea that, hey, I'm gardening or whatever, I've got my own little co-op food, and that that all this stuff's mine. Well, not anymore. As of March 16th, there's an executive order stating that they can just take it. I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, that kind of pissed me off. You know, I work for nothing, right? I save up food and everything else, and then ultimately the government can just take it, right? And they would never do that. Oh, sure, no. Then why do you need to pass it? Why do you need an executive order if you'd never do that, right? Well, just in case. Well, then, exactly, just in case. So we're living in scary times, and really what this boils down to is, something called the end of growth has happened, right? And the collapse of growth is imminent, right? Imminent. So if you look at this oil bubble that we're in, it's a bubble, right? The age of oil is coming to an end in the next 20 to 50 years. And ultimately, this whole society, this world that we've built everything on is built on something that ultimately is not renewable, and it's going to change everything. So the question I have for you is, what are you doing to prepare yourself for this inevitable? For this event? And are you just hoping that some technology is going to come about? Look at my big hands here, right? Some technology is going to come about and save you. Because in all likelihood, why would you bet on all this technology? And the other thing too is, what does it mean for you as a contributor to society? Because ultimately our whole society is built on this exponential function of growth, right? We want a 2 or 3% growth per year. Well, that's not sustainable, right? The exponential function of a 2 or 3 or 4% growth per year is just not sustainable, because it's exponential. You start getting 3% on 3% on 3% on 3%, right? It grows very rapidly, and people don't realize that. And in this exponential growth ultimately means we have this exponential utilization of a finite resource. And everyone's living in their little cloud nine, not really accepting this, and yet we're seeing some of the ramifications happen. And it's something that I think, you should be thinking about, right? I think it's something you should be like, okay, all right, let's say this is the scenario. This collapse of growth is going to happen in the next 20 to 50 years. And what am I doing? I mean, it's going to happen before, let's say 10 to 30 years, right? 10 to 30 years, not 20 to 50, 10 to 30. The end of growth has already happened. That started in 2008 with the collapse. There has been no growth. There's been no economic growth. All right, we have taken stimulus money and we have twisted it into, thinking that it's growth, but it's really there is no growth. And it's this fake growth. Without that stimulus aid, we wouldn't have any growth, right? The trillions of dollars that we've pumped into our economy has not come from any economic growth. It's come from taking taxpayer money and sinking it back into our society, right? And that's the illusion of growth. So, something to think about. Anyway, that's what kind of things I think about as I'm driving in the car, right? What am I doing? Well, I started beekeeping. I'm working for an organic farm. I mean, today I ate a dinner that was 100% from my community. 100%. Everything. The eggs were his. The sausages were actually, chicken sausages were his. The milk, obviously. Fruits and vegetables. Everything. And it was nice feeling to think that, wow, if the rest of the world all of a sudden shut down because there's only 3 days worth of food in a grocery store, ultimately, where would my family eat? Well, I have an answer. I know where they'd eat. And that's why I'm putting in the hours and working and, developing that friendship, because ultimately, I want him to count on me. We'll get honey going, beekeeping going on his farm. We looked at places today. So that's it. So I'm going to stop now and get some clover.